Good afternoon and welcome back to my office, which, because I'm sitting directly behind with a light above my head, my office is much brighter than my house. Good afternoon. So the purpose of this afternoon's assembly is to talk about September. So I am going to go through what I have sent out to parents about September and just hopefully explain it. If you have any questions you would like to ask me, please jump on the chat and I will answer it for you. But I'm going to try and go through what's going to happen in September. So I will start. In September, we are still running, and we'd like to call them bubbles because the idea of them being safe and protected inside a bubble. So we are still running bubbles, but the bubbles are bigger. Okay, so the bubbles will be bubbles of whatever size that class is. So if you're in a class of 29 children, it'll be a bubble of 29. If you're in a class of 31 children, it'll be a bubble of 31. So basically the whole of year 3, the whole of year 2, the whole of year 5 can all be together as one bubble. In that bubble will be their teacher and their teaching assistant. Okay, so they will run as normal. Those bubbles, we will try and keep them as separate from each other as we possibly can. Will be allocated toilets that they can use. They will have a zone on the field, and we are going to be using the field as much as possible because it's a really big space. So on rainy days, please make sure your children bring their wellies with them because they can swap into their wellies because we will be out on the field. There will not be any provision that we can provide inside unless it is obviously a full-on rain day, then the children will stay inside in their classrooms. So they will have a bubble, they will have a zone outside that they can play on the field. They will have toilets that they can use, and then obviously their classroom is their main bubble space. So there won't be any other children going in and out of that classroom, only that year group. Okay, so we also, in order to make the school run effectively, we are allowed to have a slightly bigger approach to bubbles than just the classes. So for those who you've seen in my newsletters, we've had to close on a Friday afternoon assessment they have to do. We don't want to do that in September because lots and lots of parents will be returning to work if they're not already at work, and having to close the school an afternoon every week is just won't work. So we will have little phases that will be linked together by some teachers that will go between them. So we are going to have R1 and 2 will be linked together. Years 3 and 4 will be linked together, and years 5 to 6 will be linked together. What that does is it allows for the teachers to have people cover their classes if they need to, and for other things as well. We have got, so the main bubbles we're running are class bubbles, but occasionally we will go into those bigger bubbles for things like an adult moving between classes. Year 3 and 4 won't be put together in the same space. Years 5 and 6 won't be put together in the same space. An adult might move between them. Arrival and drop-off. So we've been doing currently for key worker children, and we've been doing a staggered drop-off. Again, that isn't going to be helpful come September. So what we are doing is we're going to open our gates at 8:45. Now, up to the big field gate, and we're going to do a huge one-way system, okay? So we're going to come in through the field, over around the field, back round to the playground, and then out the gate that you used to come into school in. And what you will do is you will drop off at your classrooms on your way. So if you're in year 5, you're going to go round the corner, drop off at the year 5 classroom. If your child is in year 2, you'll drop them off at the year 2, and you keep on going. So we have a giant one-way system. Now, it's really important that parents keep moving in that giant one-way system, please, that you move as fast as you can, because that's really, really important. Please don't stop and have a chat. Please keep moving. Also, on the one-way system, it's really important that children, at the end of the school day, don't stop and hand all your luggage over to mum and dad. Keep hold of it. Once you're in a safe space, then you can move on and give it to mum and dad if you are going to make them carry your school bag. The start time, gates will open at 8:45, but they're not going to close until till 9:05. So there's a 20-minute drop-off window. So we're asking parents, please stagger when you drop off. If you don't need to drop off dead on 8:45, please come a little bit later. The registers are not going to close in classrooms until 9:10. So your child is not going to be late if they come in at 9:05. They'll still be on time. But if you can stagger yourselves, that will really help us, because it's about the amount of adults we have on site that is what makes this really tricky. The office is still going to be closed to parents. You can talk to us through the intercom if you need to speak to us, but the best way for parents, if you need to talk to the office or anyone, is send us an email or pick up the phone. We are fully manned in September, so we'll be able to deal with that. We won't be able to communicate with you face to face, unfortunately. Resources. Now, when we came out of lockdown, the rules were you can't bring really anything to school unless it's absolutely vital. That's a little bit different for September. So in September, obviously, your coat, I'm hoping we're still going to need hats and it's going to be lovely weather. Your PE kits can come back in a bag to go on your pegs. We're asking that they come in on a Monday and they stay for the whole week. We don't really want them yo-yoing between days, please. We're also asking, if you can, a pencil case with your name on it with the main things you need. So a ruler, a pencil, a rubber, a sharpener, a pen would be amazing, please, in your pencil case. And we want that pencil case, so again, doesn't yo-yo to and from home, okay? You can bring your wellies back. Again, bring them in. Can they stay at school, please? Lunch boxes can go to and from school because you need your lunch. That's absolutely fine. They are saying you're allowed your bags back, but think about whether you really need your bag, because if you don't really need your bag, please don't bring it in. It's just extra. You also will, to start with, we will limit what we are sending home to start with, and then once we find our way, we'll start getting a bit more movement going on. Please, please, please make sure everything is named for me. Please make sure it's named. The big difference the children are going to find in the classroom, the government guidance is very clear that all desks must be forward facing. So normally children would sit 2 here, sometimes 2 here and 2 here, and that's how they'd sit. The government have decided, no, it's tables all facing the front, and children can sit next to each other. So I can be on my table, my person sitting next to me can be sitting next to me, and that's fine. But then the next table have to be facing the same way as me. So we are setting up our classrooms so obviously all tables are facing the board so that the teacher can teach easily. School uniform is back as normal in September, back to normal school uniform, please. Normal PE kits, please. Really important, because you'll be going back to your school shoes. That's why I'm saying about the wellies, because some school shoes are quite open and then you might end up getting wet feet, because we will be on the field as much as we can. All the hand washing that we've been doing, which is quite a lot, we do quite a lot of hand washing, and we do a couple of times a day anti-bac as well. That's all going to stay. We're still going to have the classrooms cleaned in the middle of the day. There's going to be lots of cleaning. Face masks are not needed in school. The only time a face shield would ever be used would be if we thought we had a case and we were dealing with a child or an adult with it. But apart from that, we don't plan on wearing face masks and things. If we have to do any intimate toileting, so if we have to do anything with maybe our very, very youngest children that is going in and helping them clean themselves and stuff, we will have to wear a face shield then, but nothing for normal daily teaching in any of the other year groups. Okay, so the likelihood is your children will never see us with a face shield, and definitely no face masks. Assembly is going to continue like this. I won't be doing it on YouTube. I'll be using our Google technology that we've got, but I will be delivering assemblies the same as I'm delivering them now. I'll be on the screen talking to the children in the school. We are not allowed to get all the school back together. That's why, to start with, lunchtimes, children will be eating their lunch in their classrooms. We are hoping that as we go through this, we can put in a very, very thorough but quick cleaning process that means we can get children back into the hall. But at the moment, it would be too complicated to start with. So I'm hoping that we can change that come September. I also think there will be some change on some of the cooking, that we can change that come September. I also think there will be some change on some of the guidance come September, so we'll see what happens. But at the moment, all the children will have their lunch in their classrooms, or if it's a lovely day, they'll go outside. So we'll see, but they won't be all together in the hall. The bit that is probably the most important on this letter and is that what happens if we have a child or a staff member that is showing some symptoms of possible COVID-19. Now, the situation is, if a child or an adult, we have an isolation room. It's a room that we can move them to, that they are safe away from others until they are collected to go home. Then we will be encouraging parents. I say encouraging, you know what I mean by encouraging. It will be that they won't be able to come back to school until they have been tested or seen a medical professional. We have to know that that child is safe to be in school, or adult. Now, the testing is going really, really well, as in I have people from, not in this school, but colleagues from other schools who have had a symptom, so they've got a test, they have been tested, they've got the result back the next day, and thankfully they've all been negative. But if a child or anyone is presenting with symptoms, they will go and have a test. If that test comes back negative, absolutely brilliant, everything. If it comes back positive, it's when we know it's positive, that's when we will be told by our dedicated professional health team what we have to do. And the way the guidance reads is that will probably be closing down that particular bubble, but they will give us the exact guidance. I will make it very clear who that child or adult has come in contact with, and they will advise me exactly what to do, and then I will pass all that information on to you. But the guidance is quite clear that we do not act until it is a positive test. Now, that I know will probably make some parents feel a bit nervous. I totally understand it. But that's the guidance we are being given as a school. And I think the way they're coming from is when we get to October, November time, we're going to get all the lurgy bugs. And if every time we are closing the school, we would be closed more than we would be open. But I promise you that if that I am asking anyone who shows symptoms to get a test, I am then asking to see whether that is positive and negative, and actually see from the NHS, so that I know that child or adult is safe to be back in the building. And as I said, if we get a positive test, I will tell you, and then we will act on whatever the guidance is that's given us. Which leads me to, I am keeping really tight records of where my adults go, where my children go. If your children are attending a club outside of school, I need you to make sure that club is adhering to social distancing. Because if all the children get together outside of school and are really close together and everything, I may not know that who's been in contact with who, and that makes it really, really hard then to do the right thing and give the right information to the team that I'm going to be speaking to. So it's really important that we try and keep social distance going, please. I finished my letter by saying this is based on the guidance that we received. It's now about a week and a half old, I think. I think there will be more government updates. As soon as I know them, you will know them. As I've said before, Boris likes to tell everyone everything before I know it. So if he does it if it comes out in an article in the press, that's probably the first I've heard of it as well. But anything I hear about, I will be chasing up to give you further information, and I will keep you updated. We will do a video on our inset day on Wednesday the 2nd, where I'll walk you around the school. Okay, I'll pre-record it because trying to do it live, I don't think the internet will cope with it. But we'll pre-record it. I'll walk you up so you can see where you're going to come in. I'll walk you around the building. I'll let you have a little nose into all your new classrooms and everything. And then I look so forward to seeing you all on Thursday, the 3rd of September. I cannot wait. It's going to be so lovely. So all I ask, please, parents, if you can do those staggered, come a little bit later. The afternoon is also staggered. So you can pick up from 3 o'clock, gates will open, and you've got till 3:20 to pick up. But if you could, please, if you don't need to be here as soon as that time, if you can stagger yourselves so that we can try and have a nice flow of parents walking around the one-way system. Now, I've got a few people that are watching this. If you have any questions, please ask them to me. Otherwise, I will finish for today, and I need to go and get some certificates sent out from this morning's assembly. This is the trophy I was telling you about this morning. If you, the one I was asking you to imagine, that's for the virtual league. So well done to Lennon. Okay. I don't think I've got any questions. I'm just going to hang on for a few minutes because it's not always easy to type. Oh, thank you very much. Someone saying thank you very much. I appreciate that. Parents, if you do have any questions, because some parents will watch this later this evening, tomorrow, possibly even in the summer holidays. If you do have a question, you can send me an email. You've all got my head teacher's email. If you do email me in the summer holidays, I'm going to be honest, you may not get an email straight away back. But you can always drop me an email to ask me if you suddenly have a question. But if you watch this before we break up on Wednesday, feel free to drop me any questions you might have. All right, I'm going to say goodbye for this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.